Thought stairs in rehearsal today. So we have a moment that we're playing with that has stairs kind of center stage. You can kind of see.
Even trying to do a devised piece at the high school level, it's a really good example of being informed, knowing what's out there as a potential, but also having a boldness and a confidence in her own ability to take students from one place to another. It's not something that you see, I certainly have never seen it at the high school level, and when she told me she wanted to do it, I thought, okay.
Often, our productions are second to none in the area. And I think a lot of that is because of Miss Friedgen.
I watched not just the actors on the stage, but all of the people create a piece that didn't exist. They didn't read a script, they created that, and Kristina was at the helm of that.
She came in and creates this environment that allows for people to grow, to collaborate, to work with each other, to work with her. And I think it leads for people learning about each other, learning about the art, but also discovering things about themselves.
About a year ago in January of 2018, Kristina Friedgen came to us with an application for our Tom Kohler Teaching Fellowship. And even though Ms. Friedgen wasn't selected, as an administrative body and team, we decided that the experiences that she was proposing would not only be beneficial for her, but would ultimately benefit the students as well. We believed in the value of what she was proposing so much that we made sure that we made it happen.
It wasn't good enough for Kristina to have this idea, want to do it, want to implement it. She went and she sought out opportunities so that she could get funded, so that she could go and learn about the process even more than what she already knew. She took out time from her summer to be educated in a very particular way so that she could bring what she learned from workshops, from her own classroom setting as a learner into her classroom setting as a teacher.
We kind of went into this new show-like experience not really knowing what to expect, and the audition process was pretty different because we came up to the room and we basically just told a story. And from that, our stories and our words were used later on to make messages in the show. Over the summer, after we received the cast list, we had to answer questions about Good Counsel and the Good Counsel life and how we viewed different aspects of Good Counsel. And coming into the audition process, when we really started to move the gears to create a show, we made these moments that didn't exist.
It was important for me to see how effective they were at communicating the emotional reality of a teenager in 2018 in a way that was empathetic, humorous, and engaging without being overly angsty.
So with Unmasked, I was the production stage manager, but within Unmasked, we all kind of were able to create our own scenes. And the thing I really liked about doing that was being able to actually create something, because usually as a stage manager, you're just, doing all the simple tasks just to make sure everything's going right and making sure that everybody's here and there, but being able to actually create my own idea and put it on stage or be able to add things in was really fun.
We were trying to empower the students so that they were in artistic control. And we were trying to work on the theory that the students would actually experience the process, that they weren't simply being instructed, they weren't being told what to do. We were trying to direct them so that they stayed on task, and we're moving towards a finished piece.
So Unmasked was definitely a different designing experience. Miss Friedgen, when we usually do pieces, we'll have a theme or an idea or something to work in, and that gives a design perspective. In Unmasked specifically, it was more about honoring company, more about honoring our general, what are we trying to get out of this, more than what are we trying to put on stage. That was a very different question. And how do I, as a designer, someone who knows, in my instance, how to light lights, how do I service the troupe, the actors? And that was definitely a big design question that had to be answered a lot of the time.
Once it became apparent from the moment work that the piece was going to be set at Good Counsel High School, we worked by asking the students to actually go out and observe things that they see every day. Both the designers and the students they talked to, everyone immediately picked up on the fact that there's a massive staircase in the middle of the school, and how the students move through the space, move through their physical environment as they go up and down that staircase all day. So obviously, the set designers started from the idea that somehow we have to incorporate a staircase.
It was such an evolving piece. It was maybe like it's fighting a war. You know, the information is constantly changing, and you're constantly changing your plans, and then you're going this way and you're going that way, and you're like, nope, we're going to do this now, we're going to do that now, and it's like going to a buffet. You know, you get all this stuff, and you're a designer, and you're looking at it, and you're so happy, and it's great, and you're like, I can't use all of this, like it's too much, and it's picking out what is really going to be worth the calories.
The way she created scenes was just insane. Like, I would never think that a jacket could become a puppet, or a piece of, like a hat could be a lamp. Like, the way she just created scenes with those really inspired me and other students to create our own scenes like those.
We used different props, different sounds, different movement, even before we used words to kind of create scenes.
In order to devise Unmasked, we worked collaboratively through the devising method, moment work.
Congratulations. You made St. Mary's Scholars.
No, we don't start the pattern until after congratulations, St. Mary's Scholars, so rewind a little bit.
For Unmasked, what it ended up being was a group of students and a director working alongside of each other collaboratively, giving feedback and advice on everything.
What's the name of this moment?
Moment, college application.
College applications.
The way that we created Unmasked was about our school, and Ms. Friedgen really showed off the insides of what our school is.
We kind of started with basically nothing, and a week before school started, we all came together and we started figuring out our own guidelines and kind of starting to flesh out how we were going to do this.
It took a very long time, because when we auditioned for the play, it was, what can we do to make a difference? And from there, we started implementing these ideas and coming up with moments.
These scenes were written down to be kind of added onto in the future.
There were a lot of group discussions. Some of them were more uncomfortable than others, but it was all part of a process that made us closer as a company and made this show the success that it was.
My role in the project was to act as a consultant, and I visited about 3 or 4 times with the entire company, and we went through a series of exercises in which the students were able to think about their own positionality and status within society, to think about what identity markers were most salient to them and why, and also try to build empathy across differences and try to understand where other people within the theater company might be coming from in terms of what their priorities were and what identity markers were most salient to them.
Moments, say diversity. You know, the moments were created based on experiences of the students in the cast.
We all went out and we interviewed different people from the school, and we used their words and kind of sat down and thought, like, how could these words and these moments be put together to make actual scenes?
We went out, we started interviewing people for their experiences at Good Counsel and what we were trying to show and put forth for our community. Then we took parts of those interviews and we started slowly but surely creating our moments.
And that's when we made a script and we made scenes and we kind of put this show together from like the ground up. I really liked the interview process because it was like different. It gave us like script in a way that I never thought like we could use someone's words. This really taught me to trust the process a lot. You have to trust a lot when you go into this, because I remember me and some of the other castmates were really going into this like, this seems insane. Like, we've never seen this before, we've never done this before, so it was like something super new. And even at times when you were like, this is going to end up really bad, this is going to be a hot mess, like, you just keep on trusting it, and every day in rehearsal things will build up, and slowly or quickly one day things can look amazing, and then another day you go to a different part of the show and you're like, oh my god, like this looks insane. But like, really, if you just like trust the process and you just keep on working hard, you'll get to where you want to be.
The first part was about mental health, and I never really realized how much mental health, like all that stress and anxiety and all that stuff, like how that affects me, until I actually started learning about it and doing it with Ms. Friedgen.
Being able to have more of that input, have more of a say, allowed realism in the show to shine through more as you had students giving more advice, and I think it made for a great production.
For some reason, performing this piece was a little more, I want to say, nerve-wracking in the beginning, because instead of just doing a normal play where you have the script and you have these characters, we were playing real people in the community and performing for the community, and we were also performing about the school, in the school, still going to the school. Like, it was really eye-opening on how things were going here at Good Counsel.
Really, no one had any idea what to expect from the audience, what to expect from the teachers, from the administrators. We weren't sure how everybody react to the way we were gonna be portraying Good Counsel and the subjects we had chosen.
This fit into our larger goal for the year, which was to take a deeper look at what are the aspects of life that stress students these days.
The whole idea was amazing because our school it's a great school, but it's so complex and it has so many different layers that people don't honestly get all of the components of the whole school.
Afterwards, a lot of like kids came up to me, and I know a lot of kids came up to other members of the cast, and they were like, that was like really good, and a lot of the stuff that you said was really true, and it was stuff that had to be said.
Lots of students feeling as though they could connect in some way to some part of the play, in terms of their stress or their pressure to have a perfect resume or perfect grades, and just sort of the college prep culture that we have here at Good Counsel.
It was really interesting to see how other kids and even the administration was so interested, and they even want to do like a second part to the show.
Dr. Barker, the president of the school, he came to us before our last performance and told us how proud he was of the fact that we were doing this and how much he enjoyed the show.
It was very helpful to our overall efforts that even have the attention of our board of directors as to how we can be certainly a rigorous and challenging environment, but a healthy one for our students as well.
By doing it, I think it opened up a lot of people's eyes, and it made people realize what is really going on. Having this play was an excellent way for faculty to get a look into the daily life of a student.
So many teachers have come up to me and said, wow, I've never seen something like this before. Like, I actually felt a part of it. We performed it in front of our parents, and I think that was honestly the most helpful thing, because a lot of families don't know what kids are going through.
We live in an age of anxiety for everybody, adults and students alike, and so what can we do to help mitigate unnecessary stress?
It was really nice to be like, oh, it's not just me. I'm actually having the same struggles as other students.
Kids were able to understand what they were going through and that other people aren't going through it alone. Like, they're not alone. There's other people just like you.
A lot of us at this age, we're one and the same. Yeah, we might not do the same things, we might not look the same, we might not hang around the same people, but we go through the same things. And I feel like that was really strong in the play, and I feel like that resonated a lot with the audience, especially even at the talkback. A lot of kids were very receptive, more receptive than I think any of us really thought was going to happen.
One of our assistant principals is leading a working group to take a look at student workload to make sure that we're working students smarter rather than just harder.
And it was kind of like pretty cool to see how, looking back on it from like November when we thought like in August, like what could this look like? How can this one little scene of us just making some movement turn into something that it did?
What I learned from this process is that this sort of community-focused work is very effective in having the audience connect with what's happening on stage. I think a lot of the students and even some of the teachers felt very represented by the work of the script, and I think that's largely because it was so community-driven. Where the process was effective was in getting the audience to feel seen and heard. And I think that was a big step forward in understanding what this work can do, is really being effective at making the audience acknowledge the problem and see the truth in the situation. There's still room to grow on the post-show side of things. You know, how to effectively make change. How can this show, this piece of theater, be used in a way that effectively pushes change into action. And I think it really can be successful, but maybe it needs to be a series, or maybe it needs to be more interactive with the audience. Or maybe the community itself needs to take more ownership in owning why this work is being done and using it as a catalyst to promote the change that they wish to implement.